Hi, professionals. Welcome to Tax Bureau YouTube channel. This is CA Rohan R. Pingai, practicing chartered accountant based in Mumbai, also partner in Motilal and Associates LLP, member firm of Marks Network. Welcome to all of you in the video series of What Law Says Indirect Tax Case Laws Discussion Part 3. Today we will going to discuss case laws reported to Supreme Court and High Court under indirect tax, that is GST. So let's dive into it. Let me allow to share my screen. What law says indirect tax part 3 GST. Today's first case reported to Supreme Court Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs versus Aberdare 2025 29 Central Tax 10 Date of Order 21st March 2025. Let's understand facts and issue of the case. Aberdare imported specialized industrial equipment used in manufacturing processes. What they imported specialized industrial equipment used in manufacturing processes. The importer classified the goods under a concessional customs tariff entry, attracting a lower duty rate. The CBIC, that is Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, contested this classification, claiming the goods should fall under a broader general entry with a higher duty. A show cause notice was issued by the department demanding differential duty, interest, and also penalty. Aberdare responded with detailed technical documentation and legal precedents to justify its classification. The adjudicating authority initially ruled in favor of CBIC. The appellate tribunal reversed the order upholding Aberdare's classification. CBIC then appealed the matter to the Supreme Court. Let's see what Supreme Court observed and held. The court noted the technical nature of the goods and reviewed their functional characteristics. It reiterated that classification must be based on principal function of the goods. What it reiterated that the classification must be based on principal function of the goods. It emphasized consistency in classification and non-deviation from binding judgments unless materially distinguishable. The court referred to its own precedents and the harmonized system of nomenclature, that is HSN, explanatory notes for interpretational aid. The Supreme Court held in favor of Aberdare, that is assessed. It ruled that Aberdare's classification was correct based on the nature, end use, and technical specification of the product. These are the very important. What classification was correct based on the nature, end use, and technical specifications of the product. The court dismissed the department's appeal and cautioned against arbitrary reclassification without cognate reasoning. Next, now cases reported to High Court. Messrs. Shrinivasa Realcon Private Limited versus Deputy Commissioner A Branch CGST and C Nagpur and others, Bombay High Court, Nagpur Bench in writ petition 7135 2024, date of order 8 April 2025, and relevant section 78 of CGST Act 2017. Let's understand facts and issue of the case. Shrinivasa Realcon Private Limited was issued a show cause notice and an order under GST law alleging tax liability and proposed recovery. The petitioner challenged the department's decisions to initiate recovery proceedings prior to the expiry of 3 months from the date of the order, as prescribed under Section 78 of the CGST Act. The recovery notice demanded payment and threatened coercive action, including bank attachment. The petitioner argued that such action was in violation of statutory time limits and procedural fairness. Whether, that is the issue under consideration, whether the initiation of recovery proceedings before the lapse of 3 months from the date of the duration of order violates Section 78 of the CGST Act or not. Let's understand what Bombay High Court observed and held. The court observed that Section 78 mandates a 3 months period before any recovery can be enforced unless the commissioner records reason for early action. No such reasons were recorded in the case by the competent authority. The department acted without following the due proper process, particularly without recording or communicating the justification for early recovery. The Bombay High Court quashed the recovery proceedings as being premature and contrary to the law, directed the department to strictly adhere to the timeliness and procedure under Section 78 of the CGST Act, emphasized the importance of procedural safeguards in revenue recovery and to ensure fairness and legality. Next, Alfa Tools Private Limited versus Union of India 2025-28 Central Tax 287 Gujarat High Court, date of order 6th March 2025. Relevant sections are Section 79 and 75 subsection 4 of the CGST Act. Let's understand facts and issue of the case. Alfa Tools Private Limited was subjected to recovery proceedings under Section 79 of the CGST Act. The department initiated recovery for tax dues without affording a reasonable opportunity to be heard. The company challenged the action on the grounds of violation of principles of natural justice. It was argued that neither was a proper show cause notice served nor was a personal hearing granted prior to passing the recovery order. Whether the initiation of recovery proceedings without issuing a show cause notice and granting a personal hearing violated Section 75 subsection 4 of the CGST Act and principles of natural justice is what issue under consideration. Let's see what Gujarat High Court observed and held. The court emphasized that Section 75 subsection 4 of the Act mandates a personal hearing where an adverse decision is contemplated. Whenever adverse decision is contemplated, personal hearing is mandatory under Section 75 subsection 4. It observed that the department had bypassed statutory safeguards by proceeding directly with recovery. The court underscored that adherence to procedural fairness is not optional but a legal requirement under GST law. The Gujarat High Court quashed the recovery proceedings and set aside the order passed by the authorities, directed the department to follow due process as per Section 73, 74, and 75 of the CGST Act before enforcing the recovery, reinforced the necessity of issuing a proper show cause notice and granting an opportunity of hearing. Next, Khaitan Foods India Private Limited versus State of UP 2025-28 Central Tax 215 Allahabad High Court. Date of order is 19th February 2025 and relevant section is Section 29 subsection 2 of the CGST Act 2017. Let's understand facts and issue of the case. Khaitan Foods India Private Limited was subjected to cancellation of GST registration by the department. The cancellation order didn't mention any specific ground or violation of conditions under Section 29 subsection 2 of the CGST Act. The cancellation order didn't mention any specific ground or violation of conditions. The petitioner argued that no proper notice or hearing was given before the cancellation order was passed. It was also pointed out that the order lacked reference to any material or reasons that could justify cancellation. Issue was whether the GST registration of the petitioner could be cancelled without recording reasons or identifying a violation under Section 29, subsection 2 of the CGST Act. Let's see what Allahabad High Court observed and held. The court noted that cancellation of registration must be backed by clear findings of violation of statutory conditions. What court noted was that cancellation of registration must be backed by clear findings of violation of statutory conditions. Mere non-response to a show cause notice is not sufficient justification for cancellation. The impugn order neither cited any material violation nor provided any reasoned conclusion for cancellation. The Allahabad High Court held the cancellation order as arbitrary and unsustainable in law. It quashed the order and directed the department to restore the petitioner's registration. The court reaffirmed the necessity of reasoned orders and observance of principles of natural justice. What court reaffirms is that the necessity of a reasoned orders and observance of natural principles of natural justice. Next, Xiaomi Technology India Private Limited versus Union of India, Bombay High Court, 2025-28, Central Tax 238. Date of order is 22nd January 2025. Relevant sections are section 67, 74 of CGST Act 2017. Let's understand facts and issue of the case. Xiaomi Technology India Private Limited was subjected to search and seizure operations by GST authorities. The department seized documents and devices without issuing a valid show cause notice under Section 74 of the CGST Act. Xiaomi challenged the legality of the search, alleging non-compliance with procedural requirements and arbitrary action. The company argued that the seizure and investigations violated Articles 14 and Article 19, Subarticle 1, Clause G of the Constitution. Whether the search and seizure conducted without the proper authority and without issuance of show cause notice is valid under GST law or not, whether procedural violations render the investigation and subsequent actions illegal and unconstitutional were the issues under consideration. Let's see what Bombay High Court observed and held. The court emphasized the importance of compliance with Section 67, Section 74 of the CGST Act regarding search and adjudication. It noted that seizure must be backed by reason to believe and followed by due process, including a notice and opportunity to be heard. Arbitrary action without adherence to the statutory safeguards undermines the fairness of the legal process. The Bombay High Court held that actions of the department were without jurisdiction and contrary to the law. It quashed the seizure orders and directed return of seized materials to Xiaomi. The court reaffirmed that principles of natural justice and statutory compliance are prerequisites for any coercive action under GST. What court reaffirmed was that the principles of natural justice and statutory compliance are prerequisites for any coercive action under GST. Next, Goa University versus Joint Commissioner of Central Goods and Service Tax, Bombay High Court. Date of order is 15th April 2025. Let's understand facts and issue of the case. Goa University received a GST demand on the premise that it provided taxable service. Goa University received a GST demand on the premise that it provided a taxable service. The department treated certain educational and auxiliary services provided by the university as commercial in nature. What department has treated is that certain educational and auxiliary services provided by the university as commercial in the nature. The university contended that it was an educational institution providing services exempt under GST notification number 12, 2017 central tax rate. It also argued that the services provided were integral to the core educational curriculum and hence not liable to GST. Whether Goa University, being an educational institution, was liable to pay GST on services like hostel accommodation, examination fees, and affiliation services, whether these services fail under the exemption provided in GST law for educational institutions, were the issue under consideration. Let's see what Bombay High Court observed and the court recognized that the university is a statutory body engaged in imparting education. It examined the scope of the term education services and the activities ancillary to the education. The court found that the services in question were directly linked to education and were not commercial or business activities. What court observed is that the services in question were directly linked to the education and were not commercial or business activities. It highlighted the importance of interpreting exemptions beneficially for institutions serving public welfare. What it highlighted, the court highlighted that the importance of interpreting exemptions beneficially for institutions serving public welfare. The Bombay High Court held that services provided by Goa University were exempt from GST under the said notification. The demand raised by the department was quashed. It ruled that the activities such as affiliation, examination, and hostel services were part of the composite educational services and not separately taxable. Please note down this if you are in a educational services, if your client is in education services. It ruled that the activities such as affiliation, examination, and hostel services were part of the composite educational services and not separately taxable. Next, AV Pharma versus State of UP, Allahabad High Court, 2024. Date of order is 12th November 2024. Relevant section is section 130 of CGST Act 2007. Let's understand facts and issue of the case. AV Pharma was subjected to search operations by GST authorities. During the search, discrepancies were allegedly found between physical stock and records. The department treated the unaccounted goods as liable for confiscation and initiated proceedings under Section 130 of the CGST Act. AV Pharma contested the confiscation, arguing that the alleged discrepancies were due to clerical errors and there was no intent to evade tax. What AV Pharma's contested that is what their stand was. The confiscation arguing that the alleged discrepancies were due to clerical errors and there was no intent to evade tax. Whether the issue was under consideration, whether the confiscation of goods without establishing intent to evade tax is lawful under Section 130 of the CGST Act or not. What was the issue under consideration? Whether the confiscation of goods without establishing intent to evade tax. It is very important. Intent to evade tax is lawful under Section 130 of the Act is or not. Let's see what Allahabad High Court observed. The court emphasized that intent to evade tax is a necessary condition for invoking confiscation under Section 130. Mere discrepancy in stock or clerical mistakes cannot be treated as evidence of tax evasion. Please note down this. Mere discrepancy in stock or clerical mistakes cannot be treated as evidence of tax evasion. The authority must provide concrete findings establishing willful suppression or fraud. The Allahabad High Court quashed the confiscation order. It held that procedural lapses or stock mismatches without mens rea, that is, guilty intent, do not justify confiscation. The court reinforced that penalty and confiscation provisions should be used judicially and not automatically on mere suspicion. Very, very important. Next is Tata Steel Limited versus State of Jharkhand. Jharkhand High Court 2025. Date of order is 3rd April 2025. Relevant section is section 74 of the CGST Act 2017. Let's understand facts and issue of the case. Tata Steel Limited challenged the initiation of proceedings under section 74 of the CGST Act on the ground that the show cause notice lacked clear reasons and factual basis. Again, related to show cause notice, that the show cause notice lacked clear reasons and factual basis. The department alleged excess input tax credit availed by the company and sought to recover it along with interest and penalty. Tata Steel argued that no proper pre-consultation or opportunity to respond was provided before issuing the notice. What Tata Steel contended that or argued that the no proper pre-consultation or opportunity to respond was provided before issuing the notice. The notice was vague and didn't satisfy the requirements laid down under law for initiating proceedings under Section 74. Whether a vague and non-speaking show cause notice under Section 74 of the CGST Act is legally sustainable or not is what issue under consideration. And another issue was whether the absence of pre-consultation and specific allegations invalidates the proceedings initiated. Let's see what Jharkhand High Court observed and held. The court observed that a show cause notice under Section 74 must clearly state the reasons, facts, and legal basis for the proposed demand. What is important is that show cause notice under Section 74 must clearly state the reasons, facts, and legal basis for the proposed demand. It highlighted that issuing a generic notice without specific qualification, without specific quantification or basis defeats the principles of natural justice. It also underlined the requirement of pre-notice consultation as a mandatory step in substantial cases of tax demand. What it underlines is that the requirement of pre-notice consultation as a mandatory step in substantial cases of tax demand. The Jharkhand High Court quashed the show cause notice and all subsequent proceedings. It held that the notice was vague, lacked necessary details, and failed to adhere to legal norms, especially pre-consultation. The court reiterated that procedural compliances and transparency are essential for valid tax proceedings under GST law. What court reiterated that the procedural compliance and transparency are essential for valid tax proceedings under GST law. Let's now moving to the conclusions we can draw from the cases discussed today. First conclusion: proper product classification based on functionality and legal precedent is paramount. No recovery before 3 months of order unless justified with recorded reasons. Adverse actions require opportunity of hearing and due process. Registration cannot be cancelled arbitrarily without statutory violation. Such or seizure actions must be backed by reason and due process. Educational services and related activities are GST exempt if part of core function. Confiscation needs proof of intent to evade tax and not just discrepancies. Value shoppers notices without facts or consultation violate GST law. Thank you. Thank you so much for patient hearing. Please note down my contact numbers. If you have any queries, suggestion, do please let me know. And thank you so much for you are giving me a pleasurable response to all the video series which I have started on Tax Guru YouTube channel. 3 videos series are going up. What law says is a common name, but one is on income tax and one on GST, that is case laws based video series. And the third video series is GST relearn, that is for everyone to understand GST in very lucid manner. So be connected with the Tax Guru YouTube channel for latest updates. If you like this video, please click on like, and if you are not yet subscribed to Tax Guru YouTube channel, then please do subscribe for latest update. See you soon. Bye.